So I'll try something new today, guys. I don't know if it's going to be hard to replicate it, but I'm gonna try and replicate a coaching session. Hundreds of coaching sessions that I've had with clients, and sometimes I forget, because doing the videos on YouTube and the live streams for me is very comfortable. That's the only thing at the moment that I don't like about it, if I'm being honest. For the positives, I absolutely love it. I love inspiring people. I love the creative side of making videos and speaking and talking about subjects that are really challenging, but you get a lot out of them and people grow. But it's not the same as coaching people in person. Coaching people in person is a lot more growth. There's a lot more discomfort for the clients that I work with, and for me as well, the teacher. And I'm definitely a student. I don't think I want that to change. I'm learning as well. I'm a work in progress. So also as well, I've never spoken about this. I don't think I've spoken about this on my YouTube channel, or maybe I have and I've forgotten. But when I worked with Jeff, when I did mentorship with Jeff, this is what we did. Jeff would take me on the walks. They were life-changing, and this is where we did them in St. James's Park. So I had my own style of coaching, but spending a lot of time with Jeff, it definitely rubbed off on me, and I'm thankful for that. I got loads of growth and confidence from working with Jeff Thompson and doing these walks. They were just it's quite hard to put it into words, but they were inspiring, they were scary, they were exciting, they were vulnerable. It really took me to another level, and I'm still benefiting from the time that I spent with Jeff. The life skills, especially the discomfort, it's really stayed with me. I love it. So I'm a huge believer in walking and talking, because even before I got into coaching other people, and before I had mentors, I had Jeff mentoring me, I had Floyd as a mentor. They were real life mentors. I had Les Brown mentoring me. I always went for walks when I was younger. Actually, it's my dad who started it with me. So there's something about, it's crazy, probably a lot of you know this, but there's something powerful about going for a walk and a talk in a park. It doesn't have to be in a park, it could be anywhere, but it's kind of weird. I never realized this, how when I was young, some of my earliest good memories with my dad were big walks in London, through the parks, through Hyde Park, Buckingham Palace, actually even a bit of St. James, right? And then years later, I work with Jeff, and then he takes me, I do the mentoring with Jeff, where he mentors me in this park. So there's a real significance. But I've also walked around, other parts of London with clients. So it's a transformative effect. And that's why I'm doing the Fearless event next Sunday in a park. I think because the park has that effect on everyone. It's calming, it's relaxing. The trees, nature, the greenery, people slow down. So I guess the main theme of what I want to talk about today is I want to talk about fear, and I'm gonna see what comes out, because that's what I like, and that's what's challenging sometimes. When you take a lot of action and you're really honest and you're truthful. I ain't talking about reading books and just watching videos. When you go out and you live it, and you struggle as well, and you get it right, and you get around other people that are brave, you get a lot of knowledge, you get a lot of experience, and then you're able to just kind of share it with other people, teach them if they're open to it. And I've always said, with this type of work, I wouldn't force it on anyone, because that wouldn't be right. And I know it doesn't work. People would just resist it. So it's really about putting it out there, and the people that want it and are open for it, they'll gravitate towards it. That happens 100%. So the first thing I'm going to talk about now is, I've got to talk about myself in general. The hardest part at the start of your journey, whether you want to build a successful business, you want to get over social anxiety, you want to fix your trauma, you want to try and work through a difficult relationship with a parent, you want to overcome your fears of women. The hardest part, I can speak for men, right? I'm a man. The hardest part is to actually go, you know what? I have fears, I have these insecurities, and admit them, and not lie and protect yourself from them. And reason being, because if you don't admit them and you lie and you pretend that you don't have all these issues and these insecurities and these bad beliefs about yourself, you don't change. You don't. I realize that. I did that at the start of my journey, and I'm not judging anyone, but I'm just pointing out truths. A lot of people that I was around, they wouldn't admit it. So if I said, oh, I'm nervous about that, I'm nervous to go and talk to a girl, or kind of nervous to, like, the first time of, like, being intimate with a woman, I'm just nervous. They'll be like, I'm like, are you nervous about it? Like, no, I'm not nervous. Nah. So they lied about it. And at that time, obviously I was younger then. In my mind, I'm kind of thinking like, wow, there must be something wrong with me then. If all these other guys, if my friends and everyone around me, you know, generally society, if they don't have these insecurities, I must be like a terrible person then. I must be weak. I must just have all these issues. Like, you know, and I would say things like, you know, oh, I'm a bit nervous to go into expensive places. I just feel a bit, I don't know, I feel a bit intimidated. Would you feel the same? It's like, no. But then obviously later on, I had to get to a point of not wanting to live. Suicidal thoughts, severe depression. I'm in panic attacks every single night, every day, just being absolutely terrified and just being so sick and tired and disappointed with myself that I'm not succeeding in my life, because I did have high expectations of myself from as young as I could remember, and I kind of had a contradicting personality where I was always quite a self-confident guy. I had a lot of confidence and a lot of courage, but I also had a lot of low self-esteem, a lot of self-doubt. So it's like living with two people, and it's kind of frustrating because I found it very hard to be the confident person. That felt really frightening and uncomfortable, but it was a lot easier to be the person with the low self-esteem who just kind of blocked everything out. So this is the mistake that men make, and I realized this when I got to a point where I said, anyway, I don't care about what my friends think. I don't care about what other guys think about me or what anybody else thinks at this point in time. I've got to own these fears. I have a lot of fears, you know. I have a lot of trust issues with people. I'm insecure about women. I'm afraid of money. Part of me doesn't feel good enough. I'm scared to travel. I'm scared of job interviews. I'm scared of many things. Many things I'm afraid of. I'm afraid to go and do boxing. I'm just scared to get outside my box, my comfort zone, in case I get judged, or in case I get hurt, or in case I get embarrassed. And I was afraid that if I come outside my comfort zone, I'm going to irritate and I'm going to trigger the demons that I've been living with all my life. And that frightens me, because I don't want to hear what they've got to say, because they don't have very nice things to say about me. And the type of things they'd say is that you should be ashamed, you're not good enough. And, you know, look at all the failures, or look at what you haven't done. It would just basically, my demons would remind me of the fact that I haven't been successful in multiple areas of my life, and that made me feel terrible about myself. So I'll be like, I don't want to hear that. So I'm just going to stay in my comfort zone, kind of block it out, pretend it doesn't exist, and just try and just like survive, get through life each day, and just try and find these little distractions like movies, bad eating, negative conversations, or, you know, laughing a lot, all this kind of like insecure behaviors. So when I got to the breaking point, as tough as it was it was a relief, because it was like, I can't do this no more. I've had enough. I can't live like a coward no more, because this is what I'm doing. I'm broke financially, I'm broke spiritually, I don't have a girlfriend, I'm not growing in my life. Every single day is the same. I don't like myself, I don't like my life. I don't really fully respect myself because I'm a coward. And that's when I heard Les Brown's message, and I didn't really know much about who Les Brown was. And it really affected me. It really motivated me, because I just feel like this guy cares, and he's genuine, and he's been through some of the things I've been through. And when he said your failure way to success, that made me feel free, because up until that point, I've always felt like I can't fail. If I do something and I fail, I'm a disgrace. So I dared not do it, because I probably will fail, and I wouldn't be able to live with that. But when Les Brown explained that failure's feedback, It's nothing to be ashamed of. And fear is normal. It's nothing to be ashamed of. Because I used to be ashamed of all these things, and people that are around, they felt the same way, which is why they denied it. If you're ashamed of something and you're not ready to look at it, the easiest thing is to deny it. Because if you deny it, then it doesn't exist, and then it makes you feel a little bit better. But how long can that go on for? Because deep down in your heart, you know you're lying. You know it's not true. You know that you are scared and you are ashamed, and you're not facing your fears, and you're being a coward, and you're not doing all you can do. You're not. So how long can that go on for? So for me, it was like, I don't really care anymore what people think. I don't really care about being judged, because I've judged myself harshly more than anyone can. So now it's about, I'm going to go all out. I'm going to face everything that frightens me, and I'm going to do it obviously step by step. So the first area that I remember, it was like the gyms, the boxing gym. I was terrified. I was 20 years of age. I was shy, I was nervous, I was quiet, I was quite timid. As I said, I wasn't very trustful with people because of my bad experiences, but I just went down the gym my own. I just faced it. And it was hard, but at the same time, when I committed to it, it was hard, but it was easy at the same time. I was like, well, I'm a lot stronger than I thought I was. I got through it. People spoke to me. They seemed to like me. I got through the session, and that gave me what I was searching for all through those years when I was in pain. It gave me strength, it gave me courage, and it gave me the experience in how to manage fear and anxiety. So then it's like, okay, I want to go further. I want to keep doing this. I want to keep getting this good feeling. So after doing the boxing for several months and several years, and doing the sparring, which really gave me courage just to the next level, I then went and started to practice talking to women, getting over my fears. And it was a process. It was a process of failing, making mistakes, feeling embarrassed, and then getting a bit more confident, getting less embarrassed, and then getting the success. So I've just, over a period of time, it was like, but also as well, what a lot of people don't understand unless they've been successful. A big challenge for me was obviously overcoming the self-doubt that I could succeed. But once I started succeeding, there was another challenge that presented itself, and that was kind of like my old thoughts and beliefs would start coming on strong, and they wouldn't really agree with the new beliefs that I was building. So when I started to make money and I got a girlfriend and I became a success, and I started teaching, and I built my own brand, I went through a period of like being really confused about how did I do this? Like, do I deserve this? Is it a fluke? So I had to go through a period of really struggling with the concepts and the idea that I've become successful. I've done something that pretty much everyone said I couldn't do, and for many years I didn't think I could do it. And my life was unbelievable. That was quite overwhelming. That might be confusing for some people, because they would think like, how could it be difficult if you're happy, you get a girlfriend, you fall in love, you make money, you gain confidence, you remove a lot of the insecurities. It's really challenging, caused me a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress, because that's when we're talking about the fear of success, fear of responsibility, and the fear of change. And it's quite a painful, agonizing process to go through, because you got all these, it almost feels like part of you dies. So obviously the part of you that dies is the kind of part of you that you didn't like anyway, and you're kind of happy to be the new you. But you struggle with it. You struggle with the transition, and you don't get used to it in one day or a year. It takes several years to really process it and get used to it. So that was the next part. So that's when I think that's the stage where I had to go and get some help, and that's when I worked with Jeff. I'd gone through a lot. I'd become successful. I absolutely loved my life. It was just like for 3 years living the life of without sounding cheesy, it felt like being a superstar. And I don't aspire to be a superstar anymore, but that time I was younger, and I've helped so many people, and so many people love you and like you. At least it appears like that. No, it's not fully true. Later on you kind of realize that, but at the certain point, it's like everybody loves you, everyone wants to be around you. You know, you're making a lot of money, you're making a lot of noise. So I had to go through that stage. Now, kind of back to teaching. When I work with clients, the clients that do the best are always the ones that are the most honest, that say, they just flat out tell me what their insecurities are, what their fears are, and then they go to work with it. So there's two things you need to do to change your life. The first thing you need to do is you need to admit your fears and your insecurities. That's the first one. And then after you've done that, you need to then, you don't do everything in one go, but once you've admitted it, then you've got to get a game plan, you've got to get some goals down and a vision, you've got to go, right, I've admitted all these fears and insecurities, well done, that takes courage to be vulnerable, but what am I going to do about it now? Because you don't fully overcome fears and build confidence and success and gain more healing and overcome limiting beliefs just by admitting. You can do quite a lot, I'm not going to completely knock that, but it's not enough. You've still got to take action. We do live in a practical world. You've got to get off your backside, and that's where you've got to face discomfort. You've got to suffer, you've got to grow, you've got to practice it, you've got to be consistent, you've got to do it when you don't feel like it, you've got to do it when you do feel like it, you've got to do it when you're down, you've got to do it when you're up, you've got to do it when you're in the middle. So it's these two things that changed my life. And it's the thing that a lot of people don't understand is they don't understand it doesn't end when you become successful, when you heal, when you start teaching. I still have to work on myself every day, and that's not a negative thing. A lot of people would think, oh well, you know, the way that a lot of people's minds work, but I think we're all a work in progress, and the day that we say, well, I haven't got any more work to be done now, again, you're not being honest, because none of us are perfect. There's always room for growth, and there's always so much room to help more people. So this is kind of the theme at the moment. Every kind of few months I teach a theme, I talk about a theme. So I might talk for a long time about social anxiety, because that feels right and it feels great. I might talk about business. At the moment, I'm talking about fear, honesty, facing fears, challenging beliefs, growing, getting outside your comfort, all those types of things. So that's kind of the theme of the Fearless event. So what else is there? How long have I been? Wow, 17 minutes. I have to just have processed that now. And yeah, it's hard. It is hard. That's why now I understand why people don't do this, why they make mistakes and they get negative, and they, not that I agree with it, but I understand, because it takes everything. But in my opinion, it's 100% worth it, because to live the way that I used to live, I just couldn't do it. I couldn't bear it. The way I used to live was as a coward. I lived as a coward. I didn't grow. I was so insecure. It's selfish, really. It's selfish to yourself and to others. For the first 15 years I lived like that, and I didn't like myself and didn't like how I'm living. Now I like myself and I like how I'm living, and it's exciting and it's challenging. But when I think about it, it's a catch-22. If you're not honest about your fears as a man and insecurities and your traumas, and you bury it, you're going to suffer for the rest of your life. That's a fact in my experience. So, but if you face it, you're also going to suffer. But as a result of suffering, you're going to live an amazing life, and you're going to be proud of who you are. And it's not just about, we always think, it's not just about yourself, it's about how many people you're going to help and impact. Because all the people out there that are doing the good work, that are helping, they haven't just changed their life, they've changed many people's lives. They've changed your life, and they've changed my life, and they're continuing. So sometimes you have to think about the bigger picture, not just about, I'm scared, what about me? What about my feelings, my insecurities, my self-image? Well, have a think about how many other people that are suffering more than you are, and how you speaking up, being more accountable, you can change their life. So, you know, it really is the becoming of a man, and learning, and, you know, and accepting that. Because I had to get to a point as well. Now, it took me some time to accept that everyone's in different places, and if friends or other people, if they don't want to be honest about their fears and they don't want to face them, then you can't force people. That's not right. You don't have to agree on it, but then you can remove yourself and get around people who are being honest and who are facing it. But life, listen, this idea about being happy, that doesn't exist. Happiness comes and goes, right? But to have meaning, to have a goal, to be hungry every day, to be growing and just challenging, and I can't find a word to explain it. Any word doesn't, using a word doesn't feel right, doesn't summarize it. I can't find the word to explain it. You've got to experience it. but it's such a different life, a different perspective. You know, walking through this park with my old perspective is completely different to me walking through this park now with the newer perspective. Yeah, in some ways, there's certain parts of yourself and me, that little boy in me is the same. I'll always have that, and that's, we all like that. But there's so much of you that is different, that changes. So it's about changing your perspective about yourself and about life, your beliefs, changing your habits, your behaviors. It's a lot, man, but it's fantastic. And I think everybody's got to find everyone's got to find their own motivation. And it's hard for me to even explain out loud I think a big part of my motivation, some of you might relate, some of you you may not relate, that's fine, was the bullying that happened to me when I was younger, how that destroyed me at that time, how it made me feel. Verbal, physical bullying. Even though years later I stood up for myself and I started fighting back, and people were scared of me then. People that were the bullies they wouldn't do that to me. But the damage had been done by then, because it took me quite a few years to stand up for myself and, you know, socially and physically learn self-defense, etc. So I didn't want to be a statistic, because I grew up in a council estate, and, you know, most people expect you to be nothing, you know, to be on drugs, in prison, to be on benefits all your life, to just have no aim, to be a negative influence. I thought, there's no way. My faith, I've always believed in God. I'm human, I've had my doubts, but, you know, I've always believed I'm a good person. Because I've done bad things, I've made mistakes, I'm not a saint, but I know in my heart I'm a good person, I come from a good family. So the values, and just, I couldn't accept it. So that's why I worked my arse off, I worked so hard. And working hard for me is facing the fear. That might sound simplistic to people, you try it. It's not, it's a full-time job. It's a full-time job facing fear, because there's a lot that it entails. And look, I've been speaking for 22 minutes and I feel like this is nothing. I could speak for another 20 hours and explain to you every intricacy, so many things that I'm still learning about what it takes to consistently face fear and to face yourself, and not to blame anyone, to take responsibility and to grow and fail and get uncomfortable and uncomfortable and get uncomfortable again and again and again and again and again, and then get comfortable and then be happy and then and then get comfortable again. It's continuous work. It's a continuous work. It never ends, I guess, until we pass away, and it might even continue after that, I don't know. But while we're here, but it's definitely not a weekend club. It's definitely a way of life. You know, without sounding cheesy, it's a way of life. It's not just something that you do when you feel like it. Once you have the desire for it and you have the hunger and you live it for many years, it becomes who you are. So now I couldn't relate to the old me. I couldn't spend time with that. I love that person, have compassion, but I wouldn't connect. There'll be a disconnection because of the way I lived, which was a coward. That's exactly how I lived. That was the core of my pain, living as a coward. When I changed it, and I guess the opposite of a coward is courage, living courageously or with courage. Living like that for the next 15 years was the solution to the majority of my problems and issues, both externally and internally. And unbelievable, thank God that I made the decision to change my life and face those fears, because I could have easily said, well, no one around me is doing it. I don't have the support. It feels like I'm the only one. But I wasn't. I've met thousands of people around the world, great people. We've got such a similar story. There's nothing to be embarrassed or uncomfortable about or ashamed about. It's actually the opposite. It's like a joy. But man, you have to work your ass off, you know. It's success, you know, success inside and outside it doesn't come free. It comes at the cost of excruciating emotional pain at times. But you know, amazing highs, euphoric highs and great times, and, you know, ups and downs, the full life experience. So when I make my videos, when I teach, when I do anything, I want guys to do this. I want them to experience what I experienced hundreds of times, which is the feeling that you get. It's all of it, the spiritual sort of connection, the feeling, the psychological. When you face something that frightens you, and you face your own insecurities and self-doubt, and you overcome it, even if you don't overcome it, even if you face it and it beats you, and you know, for example, when I first did sparring, one of my biggest fears was fighting and sparring. My fear was being embarrassed in front of, you know, a group of people in the gym. I failed the first time because I froze fight or flight. I couldn't deal with it. But when I came out, I felt like a coward, but I got on the train, I actually felt a bit better, because I was like, I jumped in the ring, I tried. And that gave me some experience and encouragement to go again. And then I went again and again. It took a few tries, and then I got it right, and I was proud of myself. So I have so much respect for even if you tried. If you went into a social situation, you're nervous, stuttering, I just have so much respect for you, because it takes guts to do that. It takes guts to put yourself in that situation and to go through that and live through that. And my message for guys is to not give up, because I never succeeded at anything the first time. It was more the 10th, the 12th, the 22nd, the 50th. I just kept going, and I'm still like that. I'm not going to change anytime soon. So this is my message, and this is a deeper part of my story, who I am, why I do what I do, the passion I've got to get it out. Because, you know, when I was going through what I was going through, it was, you know, I had a good family, but it's hard to open up and tell anyone that how you feel. It's hard, it's scary. So if I had someone to tell me what I'm telling you now, it would have been easier for me. I might have done it quicker and so forth, but eventually that person did come into my life, and that person was Les Brown at that time, the perfect time, when I was about 25. And then, you know, Floyd came into my life a bit before that. Jeff came into my life later on. So mentors are important. Mentors are so important. I think we're starting to realize, our generation, the importance of father figures, mentors. And a mentor doesn't always have to be a male. I've had people help me along my journey that it was mentorship, whether you look at it and it was a woman. Someone who cares, someone who's strong, someone who's truthful, someone who has the experience you don't have, or someone that can see your mistakes or your potential, vice versa. So we all need mentors. And it was always in my heart from a young kid to be a mentor, because I honestly believe teachers are born, not made. Some people might disagree with me on that, and I'm willing to be wrong, but I believe just as punchers are born, teachers are born, not made. So teaching is not something that you can fake. Some people are born to teach, others are not, but that doesn't mean they're not talented. Everyone's got a great talent. There's certain things that you do that I could never do. I wasn't born to do that. That's not my gift. So I was born to be a teacher. And, you know, teachers just teach when they're not even trying to teach, when they don't even realize it, just through their example, whether they're making mistakes or getting things right or inspiring people. So kind of came out great today. See what happens when you're in a park and you walk and you talk and you get things out, and because we bury so much of the truth, we bury so much of our goals, our insecurities, and it's getting them out that is life-changing. So how can you start? You can start by coming to my Free Fearless event next Sunday. It's an invitation. It's up to you. I'll leave it with you. If you want to come, send me an email in the box below. We're going to have a nice time, coffee, a chat, and we're going to once again conquer our fears, all right?